as you mentioned, Jessica, if I may call you Jessica, libraries are in the front of digital transformation, which is absolutely true. But in a way, I think the museums are usually the cuckoo in the nest. So we are slightly different to libraries and to archives. And this difference comes out through all aspects which we regard it. I mean, coming from ethical and moral issues towards the accessibility issues, and all the thinking is much different. And I think what I'm trying to do in this very short 10 minutes, 15 minutes introduction is to tell you about all project, tell you about all concerns which have been with us since ever began this project. I think that was 2 years ago almost. And the ways I'm trying to solve these problems and these ethical issues, and about the objectives and the aims of our projects as well, obviously. So, you see, the main problem comes from the very beginnings. And if you think of exhibitions, and not only how we manage the collections, and I think the main, or the most important concern is usually that art museums, very similar or identical with science centers, or schools, or even cinemas. And how do they know? And no, because we are, after all, collecting artifacts. We are collecting individual objects of arts or heritage pieces. We would like to present it to the public, and the best way we are able to present it is in a real form. So if it is a kind of a screen or any kind of architectology, then the visitor practically loses interest. He or she can watch it at home, on the bus, or the mobile phone, or wherever. Very easily, what people would like to sort of strengthen always is to see the real world and the real artifacts and the real things. I always use this not very whatever funny comparison. I love to watch excellent restaurants, homepage, websites, and so on. Whenever I go to France or Paris, before I go, I usually select 1 or 2 places I'm going to visit. But it's not the same that I'm eating, obviously. So it's one thing to watch it on the screen, and one other thing is when I am in the process of eating things. So there is a challenge in the world, which is, I think, connected to this immersive space exhibitions, which is a new phenomenon in the last 2 years, 3 years perhaps, when they're creating huge and wonderful spaces where artworks are presented through various kind of IT forms, and theoretically the visitor then can have a better understanding of the artist's work and his ideas as well, indeed. I'm not sure that this is the case after all. Recently, I just watched this exhibition in an immersive exhibition, and that was a kind of interpretation by those people who did it. So therefore, it's an independent artistic form. And so long as it is, or regarded as an independent artistic form, it is all right. But you see, the museum's main objective and main goal is always to present the best of our knowledge, these artifacts and these stories and these narratives about history and art and archaeology and whatever, nature and so on. So, so these were in the beginning. The main ideas were, but first of all, in the beginning we wanted to make it, to use IT tools to make it easier and accessible all kinds of visitors. And then we decided that we made, in the beginning, just strict to this accessibility and inclusion and usability to some special groups amongst all visitors. And certainly, that will have some consequences. I mean, the structure of our project is the Museums and Library Association. This is one type, one part of them. Technology and developer firms and cultural heritage foundations. There are certain institutions from 10 EU member states and 2 associated member states, and everything is overlapping cultural, education, and research sectors. And so that's the basic structures, or structure of the whole project. And these are the logos of it, so they are indeed quite many. The most important thing is it's written in red on this slide to the people with hearing impairments, people with visual impairments, and people living on autism spectrum. Now, I just would like to make one thing clear here. We usually call it a process of democratization. It is actually not. It has nothing to do with democracy. You see, democracy is after all the rule of the peoples, of the people. the majority wins. These people are minorities, very strong minorities, but very, very small minorities still. What is connected to it is partly a kind of the 19th century liberal thinking that even the minorities must have a vote and a right. And the second thing is caritas, so simply charity. We must help these people, we must bring them along with us and not leave them behind. But I don't think it has anything to do with democracy. Democracy is becoming a kind of a, I don't know, a word which uses everything which is fine and nice and comfortable and beautiful. A democratic tiger, say. A tiger is a beautiful animal. So that's it. So the project strategy is advancing this beyond state-of-the-art tools and technologies, supports cultural heritage institutions and stimulate innovation and trying to overcome this potential reluctance in adopting this technology within the cultural sector. What we use is a huge and various kind of technologies. That's my colleague George will talk about it later on, because I'm really nonsensical about it at all. So that's, I must confess that I'm not. I can hardly sort of handle these talks or understand the talks and hardly handle these tools. But nevertheless, I'm good sort of control group, because I mean, no one could be more ignorant in other things than I am. So therefore, when I agree with something, or whether I can use something, that it should be used by a wide proportion of the general public. So therefore I leave it to him. It is obviously sort of broadening the audience reach and enhancing accessibility and producing various kinds of interactive advancements. These are some examples. So, for example, we use coins and small items. You see, the problem with small items in all these collection is that there's more. It's very hard to watch them in reality in the exhibition. Very small of them. I mean, this one, this one I think is about 1.5 centimeters wide. I mean, the perimeter is 1.5 centimeters. This is very small. So when you put, say, 50 of these in the cabinet window, then the normal visitor would die of boredom after realizing the second or third one. But nevertheless, they had wonderful information about an age, about a story, or whatever. So we must find some solutions how we can present it and how we can make it sort of understandable for the public, and especially for those with visual impairment. And that's how it went on through this segmentation to this one and even further on. The most important stakeholders for us, and that was the case with our project when it began to involve various communities of people who live with hearing or visual impairments or within this autism spectrum, to find these people, to invite them to the museum, and from the very beginning to talk to them. That's what would they prefer, what would they like, what would they need. But that was not easy, obviously, with the autism spectrum people, but with the other two, it went very smoothly. And I think it was very important that the way was that we were not using them as, testers for their outcomes, but rather involving them from the very beginning to make them part of a project, to find these things together, because nevertheless they are the ones who know what does it mean having a sort of not as good viewing or hearing or whatever things. And that went on in the Summer West Museum. Did very lovely talks, many times, I think 3 or 4 times with each group, or even 5 times with each group. And at the end, there were some nice outcomes. And now we are in the testing phase of this project. So we are approaching it with the technical partners. You see, in the whole project, I think there's a majority of the technical partners as per the institutions, so they're doing wonderful things, and there are the Silvers Museum, the group of Berlin Museums, and the Balkan Museum, and the National Library of Bucharest, or Romania in Bucharest, which are involved in it. So there are 4 or 5 collections, and the other 9 partners or technical partners responsible for each and every different aspect of the development. And there is a feedback iteration and all the rest of it. Just thank you for your attention.